क्या एंजाइटी और स्ट्रेस एक ही चीज़ है?
नॉट रियली, बिकॉज आपकी सिम्टम्स अलग अलग हो सकती हैं.
आपके प्रोग्रेस को या आपकी हेल्थ को कितना इम्पैक्ट करता है?
आपको किसी MBA क्लास में सिखाया नहीं है कि आपको हमेशा काम में होना ही है.
Do you see that they are universally same in nature or does it have a geographical impact?
बेसिक नीड, सेफ्टी, अटेंशन, लव एंड रिस्पेक्ट.
How do you identify that I require counseling?
आपका पूरा सिस्टम गिव अप कर चुका है एंड इट्स सच अ ह्यूज ट्रिगर कि आपको हेल्प लेना ही लेना है, बिकॉज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज डिप्रेशन.
Gen Z problems that come to you versus any millennial problems that come to you.
What is normal for the Gen Z is not normal for us.
एक burnout में और एक mental breakdown में difference क्या है?
कौन सा आंसर दूं जिसके लिए तुमने.
How Mirag was born?
I want to empower women to find their identity back. The moment you step out of the house, it will be dangerous. Who are you?
Welcome to the Tanay Tulsani podcast. Today, I'm in conversation with a close friend of mine, Gargi Datta, who's also a founder of Mirak, a coach and a mentor who helps leaders unlock their true potential and stand out in their careers and lives. In this episode, we talk about everything from corporate culture, mental health, anxiety, and burnout to hybrid work life culture, leadership blind spots, and mindset shifts. We'll also dive into her vision for Mirak and the real tools that can help you transform your own journey. As far as I remember, हम last 14 years पहले मिले थे. Do you notice any mind shift or any change in me in the last 14 years when I was reporting into you versus how we are today?
I feel the reason why I hired you back then was because you have always been a hustler. And that was, I guess, the biggest reason why I hired you back then. But while talking to you all these days when we started talking about this podcast, I think one big difference that I see in you with your story and the way you got back to your feet when, things were not right, etc. I feel like it was so easy for you to give up when that happened, but you did not. And the reason why that happened is because you do not let your circumstances define your results. And when that happens, in neuroscience we call this the model. Where you do not let your circumstances define your results, but the other way around, when you have a result, you have a goal, and then how you move towards taking action towards it. I think that is being done beautifully by you. And that's what is the biggest change, is what I feel.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
But there is so much, I learned from you while working for RateGain in terms of the leadership skills. I actually was transitioning into a manager to a leader while you were leading a pack of a new profit center at another organization. But while doing that, there were so many do's that I learned through you, with you, which I applied in my daily life while I was building up Digilantern. So but circumstantially it fell so many times that it took me forever to get back on my feet. But yes, but the baseline was very strong to not have given up on the conditions where the challenges were tough.
Awesome. And I think it's not easy for people to do that, because I don't have the money right now, I will not be able to do this. Because I don't come from a business family, I will not be able to do business. All of these are circumstances, and then our thoughts and feelings and actions depend on that. तो कभी वो रिजल्ट अचीव ही नहीं हो सकता, right? And action is no action is also action.
That's right.
So in my life also, I have taken this as a very important lesson, that how do you move yourself, how do you think, feel, and act as per your results, instead of instead of your circumstances. So
Yeah.
I feel it's important.
गार्गी, आपने रेड गेन जैसी, मेक माई ट्रिप जैसी, स्मार्ट वर्क जैसी इतनी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के साथ काम किया है, उनको लीड किया है. आपने ना सिर्फ इतने सारे लोगों को इन्फ्लुएंस किया है इन द राइट वे, बट यू ऑल्सो शेप्ड सो मेनी करियर्स while you were building organizations. How was the entire journey like, and what was the turning point where you were kind of influenced to do your own stuff and the business that you have shaped, and the new innings that you've now been kind of shaping up for yourself and for other people around you?
It's been quite a journey, Tanay, because I come from a very small town in Assam, right? वहाँ पे during our time, you are either a doctor or an engineer or you're a failure. So I was tagged a failure the moment I left science in class 12, after class 12. So success was a very alien term to me back then. But then when I came here, and honestly, not a lot of kids at that time used to come out of the small town and make it big in a big city and all of that, from my town at least. But when I came here, I didn't come for career. I came after my ex-boyfriend, who's my husband now. But that's the reason why I came here. But life really took me to different places post that, right? And all of these companies that you're talking about, I think they have contributed so much to my life in terms of my transformation over the years. And like I said, because my time was, my upbringing was such that I didn't understand what is possible for me. So everything was like a milestone. Like the first,
Professionally, what were the key moments that you had in all the three organizations that have now become such big giants that you joined when they were just startups?
Yeah, I think a lot of small things which looks trivial right now, but at that time, I think my first international travel was a big milestone for me, because I wasn't sure I was capable of cracking deals at such a huge level and all independently. The first time my boss sort of had the trust on me to do something well, the first success, the first recognition, all of that, that the projects that were successful, which you lead, which you put your heart and soul into. So all of that were like very, very big milestones for me and transformational for me during these organizations, especially in RateGain, I feel, which was quite a turning point.
क्या कोई स्पेसिफिक टर्निंग पॉइंट था आपकी लाइफ में जहाँ पे आपने कॉर्पोरेट लीडरशिप की तरफ या ट्रेनिंग्स की तरफ फोकस करना शुरू किया, जहाँ पे आपने बोला कि दिस इज व्हाट द फ्यूचर इज गोइंग टू बी फॉर यू एज अ ब्रांड?
Couple of incidences and couple of things that has happened together, actually. There was a point in life where I realized that you are only chasing things that are materialistic. It's either the bigger car, the bigger house, but the chasing doesn't really stop anywhere, And I think that was a huge turning point for me, because every year you would go through an appraisal cycle or things like that or a promotion, etc. But your chasing doesn't really stop. And then there was a point of time where I did not even know what I was chasing after. There were so many times where and so many first times of my child which I missed out because of this chasing. And I think that point came in my career or in my life where I thought that this is not I want from my life, and I had more to give to the world than what I was doing. So that was one. Second, I think what I realized is that I have worked with so many high-performing teams, but one of the struggles that people always have is how do you make yourself ready for the next level? And that is where we sort of struggle so much, because the solution to that is really how your mindset is, right? And then upar se there are a lot of external factors, like your boss is not good, you get yelled at a meeting and things like that. That sort of brings in so many belief systems in you to which you give up, and you say that I'm not probably good enough for this, or you face shame and guilt for being in that situation. So you let the circumstances sort of dictate your identity and your results. And that is a problem that I faced as an individual, as a professional, while I was working, and I want to shift that about people. I want to tell people that I wanted to tell people that there is a way you can solve for it, and whatever happens to you is not what your identity is. And I think that was the biggest reason for me to move from a corporate leadership or a corporate organization to start coaching people, because I knew there is a possibility of people becoming better in life, enjoying life more, and really come out of this false mold of identity that they have built because of their condition.
हमारा एक कॉमन हमारे मित्र हैं विशाल जैन. So I was when I was starting the organization 11 years ago, Lantern, I had this conversation with him where I was running around everywhere, where he gave me one message of my life which completely changed everything, where he told me that sometimes you have to slow down to fasten up.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to slow down to figure out what I want before I started fastening up to go to a next level of what I wanted together as an organization.
Yeah.
So is it also the routine that you were following, that you wanted a break out of, not just to do a break, but to figure out how you can hit the same dart in a different way?
Oh, absolutely. And that's Vishal for you, right? He would give us these statements and one-liner gyans and stuff like that. But absolutely. Look at all of us. Look at the generation. Look at our previous generation. We have been conditioned to think that there is studies, there's good marks, there are good jobs that you need to do. You get married, you have children, and the cycle really continues.
Yeah.
I somehow had that urge to break that cycle, not just for myself, but also for my kids, for the next generation. And I think it is so important to, like you said, to reflect, to pause, and to see what is possible for you, right? And that is very important for you to really make it there, or do something which is more purposeful, do something which is bigger than what you have thought you could have done.
So if I say, if you're entering another project at any given point in time which is corporate like in nature, for example, leading an OTA or leading a chain of resorts or hotels that you've done for so many years in the past, would it have a different approach if you take that up? And if yes, what will be that approach while leading the organization after your brand was born?
First of all, I don't think I will go back to a corporate-ish kind of an environment, because मुझे लगता है बहुत काम है अभी यहाँ पे. I think there will be a lot of corporate leaders. There are universities and schools who are training people to be corporate leaders. I feel I'm not there. I don't want to be back there again, because there's just so much of work left to do on people, जो आपको किसी भी MBA क्लास में नहीं सिखाते. How do you get ready for this corporate life? You and I know how this corporate life can make you feel. If you're not strong enough, if you don't have the right set of mindset, if you don't have the right mindset, how this can take a toll on you, right? ये हम कहीं भी नहीं सीखते हैं, ये experiences सिखाती है. But there is just so much work left to do on people to help them change their mindsets, transform their mindsets, and help them find their power back, break free from the molds of identities that they have created around themselves, about themselves. So I feel like there's a lot of work there. So I would never, never say never, but I would not want to go back to a corporate world. But if I have to, there's a whole new way I would set it up probably. I will invest on people, on not just on their skill sets and talents, but also on their mindsets, because I know eventually that is what is going to make my company achieve goals, even dream bigger and things like that. So I
Can
think
you give us some snippets of how you look at corporates as a leader now after doing an inner transformation of understanding where are the gaps in people management and mind management? When you look at a corporate leader leading a pack of people who are taking their organizations to a next level, especially in the hospitality world, how do you look at things in a different way as a leader and as somebody who sets minds right towards their work according to how the pressures would be eased now, or how the pressures need to be dealt with, say, in this era of doing business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we cannot deny the hustle culture in startups, in corporates, all of that, right? It's a need of the hour, but I think leaders need to figure out what is actually stopping their people doing what they want to do, right? And that is when you start investing on their mindsets. Of understanding what are their limitations. I'll give you examples here where, there was this organization who said that I have this new set of leaders. They come from great universities and schools, amazing experience, all of that. But what I don't understand is that why my people are not able to act like CXOs of the company in their own regions and stuff like that. And when you hear that, you definitely understand that it is something to do with the way these people are made of, their mindsets are made of, because of which they are not able to take the responsibility and the
Yeah.
ownership of the work that they are allowed, they are given to, right?
Okay.
They are not able to take tough decisions. They're even in any decision for that matter, they are not able to build that trust when it comes to authoritative figures or internal stakeholder management, all of that. Now, these are symptoms that you see on the surface.
Yeah.
What really goes behind are very, very deep rooted fears of abandonment and judgments that they have been conditioned with. How do you solve for that if you just focus on traditional training methods to help your people? You might do a lot of things to boost their confidence, thinking that's what they need. But वो confidence तो आएगा ही नहीं जब तक आप अपना जो deep rooted fear है उसको नहीं हटाओगे.
जो इनिशियल ईयर्स की बिल्डअप में इनसिक्योरिटीज जनरेट हुई हैं किसी की भी. फॉर एग्जांपल, द फर्स्ट 3 years ऑफ a very good educated person has gone by having a bad boss in probably a big four. When I say a bad boss, somebody who's so compliant that he or she loses focus on people management and wants not to develop processes but to boss around over youngsters who just joined after passing out from organizations like educational institutes like I am. So उनकी इनसिक्योरिटीज दूर करने का या उनके करियर को रीशेप करने का, रीबिल्ड करने का, अनलर्न करके लर्न करवाने का कोई तरीका है which you've probably identified, where I meet a lot of people who have 6-7 years of experience, worked with good organizations, nothing wrong with their CVs, but as soon as they join, I see so much insecurity around them. About work. How do you address that?
ये question बहुत important है. And I know the importance of this because I have suffered this. I have worked with huge organizations, but haven't really been very proud of the way situations को मैंने उस time पे कैसे handle किया. And had it been the person handling those situations today as I am today, बहुत different होता वो. And I understand that ये बहुत common एक problem है लोगों में, because when you come from a college, come to the corporate world, आपकी expectations और आपकी दुनिया बहुत अलग हो जाती है ना. Because of your environment in college, you're taken care of, you're protected in some way or the other. But when you come out to the corporate world, it's an entirely different beast altogether, right? I feel like I think people need to start looking inwards in terms of what is it that made them react and respond in a certain way when situations like this happen.
Yeah.
When you come out of a bad experience, irrespective of your talent, irrespective of your pedigree, it sets you back in a way that you are not able to look anything beyond that. And the moment you start looking at yourself as not a definition of what has happened to you, and not let your circumstances define what you are all about,
Yeah.
is when you can make those changes. आपके साथ हमेशा bad experiences होंगी, आपके साथ भी हुई है, you know.
Yeah.
And the difference between what you have done to come out of that situation and probably somebody who has not been able to do that is the way you think,
Yeah.
is the way your mind functions. What you have done essentially is not let your circumstances define you as a person.
Yeah.
And the moment people start doing that, कि मेरे साथ ये हो गया, but ये मैं नहीं हूँ, this is not who I am, this is not what defines me, is where the game changes for people.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel this is probably a message to every one of them who's gone through bad experiences, either in corporate or otherwise in life. You need to understand that that does not define you, and that's what is going to change your game forever.
Any real life scenarios where you met people who've come with a set of insecurities as managers or as senior managers while they're taking up managing a team of say 10, 15 odd people for a profit center probably that you had led, or you've seen anybody else leading, on how those real life scenarios have been taken care of by you, or how you've completely switched tables, changed the mindset in form of any real life experiences that you would want to.
Yeah, I mean, I am right now dealing with somebody who comes with that kind of a pedigree, comes with that kind of an experience. But this person comes to me when he said that मेरी तो work-life balance ही खत्म हो गई है, you know. But when we started working on him, it was not 50% of his work pressure is something that he has built in his head.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is not because he has to perform, but he has to make sure that he does not repeat the same mistakes that he has done in the past, because of which his parents were unhappy with him.
Yeah.
Right? So he stays late at work without anyone asking him to do that. He would submit or not only meet his deadlines, but submit projects even before the deadline finishes, because he puts himself through this pressure कि मुझे इसमें गलती नहीं करनी.
Yeah.
Right? And this is a conditioning that your mind has जो बहुत पहले develop हो जाती है.
Yeah.
And because वो बहुत पहले develop हो जाती है, there are these neuro pathways that are created in your mind because of which you think, feel and act a certain way.
Got it.
Right? And you don't pay attention to the fact कि मैं ऐसे क्यों behave कर रहा हूँ.
Yeah.
Right? But the moment you start looking at your triggers and see कि यार ये हो क्या रहा है मेरे साथ, that's when you can connect the dots back to one of your childhood memories. And parents play such an important part in the way you are shaped as individuals, right? This particular person, the earliest memory of him making a mistake and not feeling safe to own up to his mistakes is when he did not get good marks in maths and could not think of going back to his parents to ask for that signature on the mark sheet which the teacher had. So he had no idea where to go. He's feeling unsafe in school because his teacher is constantly asking for the mark sheet or the signatures, the report card, and he's not feeling safe to go to his parents also to ask for these signatures, right? So where does he go?
Yeah.
So can you imagine that emotion? What can it do to a child at an age of 4 and 5? Now, scientifically speaking, a a child does not even develop the part of the brain which is responsible for making sense of things or logic. It is an overwhelming situation जो वो absorb कर लेता है और अपनी body में store कर लेता है और ऐसी जगह store करता है कि मुझे वो दिखना नहीं चाहिए because मैं अगर उसको revisit करता हूँ तो मुझे बहुत दुख होता है.
Yeah.
That is what trauma is, right? And that is how it shows up in your life today when you can go to a counselor and say that मेरी life में work-life balance नहीं है. That's a symptom, but deep down it is these kind of traumas that actually lead to that.
Is this so? There are two adjoining questions. One is while dealing with situations like these in corporates, do you see that they are universally same in nature, or does it have a geographical impact? For example, do you see cases which are different in India versus cases that are different in the US or Europe, considering the fact that you told me off the record that you've been counseling people across borders?
Yeah.
So do you find similarities in situations, or there are other ways of problems that you see in the Europe or in the US or in Canada versus what you see in India?
Not really, because आपकी symptoms अलग-अलग हो सकती हैं. Maybe in the US you don't have so much of a work pressure in terms of timelines, जो इंडिया में बहुत ज़्यादा दिखता है. तो आपकी symptoms अलग हो जाती है, right? So you probably feel very pressurized at work during those work hours if you feel pressurized. But in India, you feel pressurized because of the amount of time you have to spend in office, right? We come from a very slavery kind of mindset जो बहुत पहले से चलता आ रहा है and has been passed on to us from generations. We are still like this. Maybe the next generation is not like this because I see a lot of this generation working on their own conditioning. But symptoms अलग-अलग हो सकती हैं. But जो deep rooted feelings है ना, जो emotions की वजह से ये सारा symptom दिखाई देता है, वो same है. Because people have a very basic need. Safety, attention, love and respect.
Yeah.
And the moment you get challenged with all of these things, that's when trauma happens. That's when your mindsets are formed in a way that you are able to survive in a condition.
Yeah.
Right? So you become a different person. You start blending in instead of not having the fear to stand out as the individual that you were born as.
While you are doing the process of counseling, healing, understanding the corporate mindset, in the cases that you have kind of dealt with over the last 2 years, what is the percentage of people who are worried about just making money versus satisfaction that they would want to have in their jobs, feeling contented of what control that they have over their focus or the jobs that they do? Is their control or their contentment more satisfying, or is it just the hunger of money, which probably I have seen in the last 16, 17 years of my work ex, where everybody is focused towards ethically दायरों में रहते हुए, corporate दायरों में रहते हुए making money. So what are those conditions that you have kind of seen or healed and made people realize the changes in their mindset?
Yeah. Money, is a big parameter of success for people. And not money as what it is. In fact, this is one of the biggest reasons why I felt like I need to shift from a corporate life to a coaching life, because what next after money? You have reached a certain age, you have reached a certain society standards, you have a big house. After that, money can only bring you a bigger house, a bigger car, but that's about it. There is nothing which is changing in your identity or what you bring to the table outside of money, right? Now, coming back to your question, I think money is such a huge parameter for people to be successful. Now, you need to look at money very differently. It's not the money which is important for them. It is what they get because of that money, which is what people chase. money is an emotion. For some people, it brings safety. For some people, it brings power. To me, it brings a lot of safety. I feel like मुझे सोचना नहीं पड़ता if I have the money in my bank, right? So for people to come out of that stage where you're only chasing money, I have coached people to understand that what they are actually chasing is really the emotion behind money. And that emotion is more important for them than the money that comes into the bank. And that is when they start thinking or looking beyond money, right? If that answers your question. So I think it is not more just about it. I mean, from a surface level, it looks like everybody is chasing money and, and bigger status, etc. But it is really the emotion that comes along with money is what they are chasing.
How Mirag was born, and what are the adjoining spaces that or gaps that you're trying to fill with this vision or the organization that started 2 years ago?
Mirag has a vision of reaching out to all of those people who has been suffering from a negative belief system. And my vision with Mirag is to remove and break free, help them break free from these conditionings and belief systems so that they can live a life which is fulfilled and powerful, right? I work with a lot of women. In fact, I have recently launched a program called Shakti, which is for the women who is lost. Not lost in terms of identity or not lost in terms of work, career, and she as a woman, but lost herself in the process of playing all the roles that she has played through in life, right? You have been a great mother, you have been a great daughter, daughter-in-law, wife, all of that. But in Sabmina, by the time you reach 40, 45, you lose yourself.
Yeah.
Identity crisis, actually नहीं बोलूँगी, because आपने एक identity अपनी बना ली है because of these roles that you keep playing. But what you authentically are, the way you are born, this powerful, magnetic women that you were born with,
जहाँ शिव शक्ति है,
जहाँ पे शिव शक्ति है, जहाँ पे feminine energy है, वो आप बिल्कुल भूल गए हो. और including me, a lot of women are not aware of this. So by the time you reach 40, 45, जब आपके बच्चे स्कूल चले जाते हैं, कॉलेज चले जाते हैं, घर से बाहर, and all of that, right? You are left alone with yourself. Who are you is what, at this point of time, is what people struggle with. I want to empower women to find their identity back. That's what Mirag wants to do with women. Secondly, I feel a lot of these negative belief systems that people have been conditioned with, the 5 layers of resistance that people develop over years, and these are resistances that comes from your childhood, your parents, ancestors, and sometimes actually also past lives, right? It defines you as a person, and resist changes in your life because of your loyalty towards these different phases, right? I want to help people, and I want to tell people that you are not what you have been told you are. And you are bigger and better than this. All the dreams that you have, the life that you want for yourself, the desires that you have, you are capable of achieving those, fulfilling your dreams, and live that life that you want to, only if you break free from these limiting belief systems and become world leaders, become the entrepreneur that nobody in your family was probably, right? So that's what I want to do with Mirag.
And have there been any statistical changes that you've seen in shaping lives or rebuilding their confidence or rebuilding their faith in their entire career while doing this for women and for corporates? and any statistical change? Have you seen any leaders that have been born in while doing these programs? And if you could tell us some examples of some cases that you've currently been dealing with.
Oh, yes. I mean, there's been so many. I have dealt with about 500 people in the last 1.5 years of doing this. And I'm very proud to say that, that there has been so many shifts that I have seen in people's life. I can give you so many examples, but maybe we'll stick to one or two where this lady who came to me who had this aspiration of going abroad and working, right? But she could not find a job. She could not, she wasn't very confident about her studies, the things that she has done in her career so that she could land a job outside, right? She believed that she did not have the resources to help her get there. I think the shift that happened because we have dealt with some of the childhood conditioning that she had, belief systems that said that the moment you step out of the house, it'll be dangerous. All kinds of belief systems that we have been able to get rid of. She is right now working with a huge real estate firm in Dubai, settled there, and is married to an Indian who's also settled in Dubai. But yeah, that's been a shift. She's very happy doing what she's doing. So yeah, I have seen so many examples like this where, people have become so much more powerful. People have become, they start believing in themselves when this mindset shift happens in them.
So when you do programs to identify and settle a problem statement in a human being, or is it a constant gain that you give? Or is it a constant identifying process followed by homeworks, followed by a new life that you're shaping up, and then followed by any maintenance sessions? I think in form of technology. So I would think in form of support. You know what I mean to say?
Yeah.
So is it a constant support system that you become for these people for life? Or is it just a problem that you solve and then we move ahead?
I wish I could work like that, to do sessions, be done with it and move on. Because I would have a lot more time for myself and a lot more energy. But that's not how it works, because what you're dealing with is not just a service or a product that you have sold to people. You are dealing with their emotions, right? So there has to be a certain kind of maintenance service that happens, which I definitely do. But I think post 7 to 8 sessions where we work on different layers, we peel off one layer after the other in terms of deep emotions and insecurities that they have been living with. I think they reach a stage where they are able to work on themselves, in a much better way. And I've seen this. A lot of people do renew with me to about 15 sessions or so. But beyond that, I actually ask them to take a pause, reflect, see what is happening in their life, see the way they start responding or reacting to situation compared to how they used to do before. Plus the homeworks, which is I make it a ritual for them to spend time with themselves, which includes journaling, which includes meditations, which includes a lot of mindset techniques that you can do with yourself once you learn it. There's this amazing technique that I teach people, which is called the deliberate thought building. And what happens there is I ask you to pay attention to all the thoughts that you have in your mind going on, and then list down and look at them as a third-party perspective and see for yourself that what are the negative thoughts that are running in my head, which are becoming narratives for me, which are becoming the stories that I keep telling myself, which are also defining the way I think, feel, and act because of these thoughts, right? And then I give them an exercise or it's a practice where I say that change this to a positive thought, which is the deliberate thought that you build. Now, you will realize once you do this over time, because what you're really doing is your brain is throwing a negative thought, you're replacing it with a positive one, and you practice it over and over again so that the brain is building a new neural pathway for you.
Yeah.
Right? And then you say that, and then you see after a while that the way you act given a certain circumstance will be very, very different from the previous one because of the fact that you have started thinking positively.
Do you think technology has its cons? For example, in today's time, talking about the Gen Z, they have everything in terms of ordering on a click of a button. Our credit cards are configured with our own kids, and even if it is a packet of chips or it is, say, a soap or a shampoo, everything for which we went to the market during our days is now on a tap of a button. And in 10 minutes, you have it delivered. Where there is no focus on meeting people, there is no focus on going out, walking, talking. There's no focus on going to a mom and pop store. There is no focus on understanding the value of money, where there was a budget being built during the earlier days to get all the groceries from one store, which is now available on tap of a button, that too without a handling fee. So do you think these are a part of the negative impacts that have been created in the mindsets of adults, senior people, or the gaps that have related people to moving towards a lot of mental traumas or destruction, where the Gen Z doesn't understand the value of money, and the ones who've been working for years in corporates are not able to relate to situations like these, which eventually become big problems while delivering productivity at the workplaces for both the youngsters and the people who've been working for years. So do you have programs, or do you have certain kind of problems like these coming in your way? Or what is your take over, technology going altogether to a next level where the relatability has lessened, and the objective of tapping on by buying something which is not even required has become so easy. And the credit card bills are rising, but the importance of money is totally gone.
Yeah. I think as a generation who has been conditioned to think that paise पेड़ में नहीं उगते. Yeah. But पैसे पेड़ में उगते हैं अगर आप if you really nurture it. And I feel like the gap which has been created between Gen Z and this generation is more because what is normal for the Gen Z is not normal for us. And that's where technology comes in. That's where your ability and the way you value money comes in. The way you live a day-to-day life. Like you said, tap of a button में सब कुछ ही तुम्हारे doorstep में होता है, right? It's not normal for the generation that we have lived and our previous generations, but it is such a normal thing for our children. And I know that because I have a teenager who is going through a similar transition, and I realize that he struggles a lot with us sometimes, but वो ऐसे ही रहेंगे. This is a transformation which is happening, and hopefully for the good. What needs to change is probably us, who is at the very extreme of being, we've been very unlucky to be in the cusp of the previous generation and seeing technology, and then coming to the stage where you see your children only thinking and doing things as per AI and technology. I think the shift needs to happen in our heads, where you are able to consider the normal that that your kids are doing, what the normal is for your kids.
So, there's this CEO thing that comes up every time when I ask questions, and I have not been able to find right answers to this, at least for the last 7-8 years. But have you identified any Gen Z problems that come to you versus any millennial problems that come to you? Are there any gaps that you've identified and you've tried to bridge primarily for stress management, and also to bridge the gaps to take organizations to a next level where there is dominance of Gen Zs versus what millennials do, and the way they have, kind of cultured themselves to work?
Yeah. No, I think great question again, Tanay. But we see a huge gap in terms of how the Gen Zs operate, not just in corporate life, but otherwise also. And during my time in corporate, I've obviously dealt with a lot of Gen Zs, etc. But I think one of the huge stress that has been created between families and corporates, where there is a set of people who are millennials, the other set, or the future per se, is really the Gen Zs. We see a lot of stress being created and frictions being created because of the gap that we see between them. And the gaps really come from the fact that what is normal for Gen Zs is not normal for the millennials, and vice versa, right? I work with a lot of, in fact, I have a program which works with a lot of these Gen Zs who comes with their set of stress, because for them, I've noticed that instant gratification is one of the most important things that they live by, they operate with. And that's where, companies like Blinkit, Zomato are all monetizing on that particular sentiment, right? So that's one. Second, I have a lot of millennials come to me and say that I'm not able to connect with my Gen Z, children. I had this one friend of mine who said that I don't understand, but my daughter just doesn't study. I asked her, what makes you think she doesn't study? She said that she just cannot get up in the morning and study. But she's doing very well in her studies, etc. And I asked her, is it that she doesn't study, or is it that she doesn't wake up in the morning and study? She says she studies at night with the music on, right? So you understand the programming that the mother has come from generations who told her that you have to get up in the morning to study because your mind is fresh.
Yeah.
She was told about this by her father. Her grandfather told her father about it, because maybe in those times people used to get up early in the morning, evening mein electricity nahi hota, for whatever reason they don't study at night, right? But is it true for the mother? Is it a true conditioning that the child is not studying? Now this is where the gap really starts, because our millennial conditionings have been such, right? Third, I feel the Gen Zs, because they are not able to bridge that gap, and like I said, what is normal for them is not normal for their parents, they find it very, very stressful, unsafe to even talk about how they feel without the fear of being judged by their parents, or in the corporate world without the fear of being judged by their managers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Similarly,
This is where the insecurity builds up.
This is where the insecurity builds up on both sides, right? The parents would think that I'm losing my child to something which I am not aware of. It's outside my area of expertise, right? 30 years back, we didn't know that jobs like Facebook and Google can happen.
Yeah.
It's available for people. Gen Zs, we have seen Gen Zs start working at the age of 18, right? Now, if they function with all the conditioning that their parents come with, or if they function as per the conditioning that the millennial managers come with, will they be able to do what they are really good at with the resources that they have with them today, which is AI technology? The need for instant gratification also makes them a certain way, but will they be able to do all of these things and change themselves to fit into this new world of theirs? Probably no. Right? And which is where the gap really starts building, and it becomes a lot more stressful than what we used to have with our parents.
Yeah.
And so the programs really that I do with Gen Zs is to how to manage some of the stress that they go through because of their parents, because of the outside environment, etc. And then that also involves a lot of involvement of parents to come into the sessions to talk about how some of the conditionings are not true anymore, right? And that really has helped a lot of people to bring in a lot of peace in their relationship as well, a lot of compassion and understanding towards their children, right? So I think that is a way that we can bridge those gaps.
क्या एंजाइटी और स्ट्रेस एक ही चीज है?
Two sides of the same coin. एंजाइटी से आपको स्ट्रेस हो सकता है, स्ट्रेस से एंजाइटी हो सकती है, बट इन सब के रूट कॉजेज बहुत अलग अलग होते हैं, सिम्टम्स भी अलग अलग होते हैं, राइट? There is this lady who came to me, she's about 40-45, who is going through a lot of stress after her hysterectomy. She went through a surgery, and because of which she feels like she's useless right now. And that stress is making her, not be herself with her family. मतलब वो खुशी नहीं है, कुछ भी दे दो उसको, वो खुशी नहीं है. Children are doing well, husband is loving, everything is good about her life, but she's not happy. And she's able to, she is actually going ahead and trying to blend herself. सबको copy करती रहती थी वो, in the sense that because she's trying to blend in to be loved, to be valued. Now, all of this
she stopped being herself.
She stopped being herself because she felt like she has lost the value of her own body. Now, all of this is not because of the hysterectomy. The reason why she felt unsafe to be herself, and the reason why she felt the need to कि मैं blend हो जाऊं, ये जैसे चाहते हैं मैं वैसे ही रहूं. In the process, you forget yourself, but what is really happening, and because of which this is happening, is a
trauma.
Is a childhood trauma of being abused by somebody you know and love, because of which आपको कभी safe feel ही नहीं करने देता. So I think anxiety, stress किसी भी reason से आ सकते हैं, trauma से आ सकते हैं, but it's the two sides of the same coin is what I feel.
क्या मेडिटेशन और जर्नलिंग ओवर थिंकिंग या स्ट्रेस को रिड्यूस करते हैं, कि या ये टेम्परेरी फिक्स है?
टू अ ह्यूज एक्सटेंट फिक्स करते हैं, बट डिपेंड करता है आप जर्नलिंग और मेडिटेशन जैसी टूल्स को यूज़ कैसे करते हैं. अगर आप मेरे दिन में क्या क्या हुआ वो लिखते रहोगे तो शायद वो हेल्प ना करे आपकी, बट आप एक्चुअली यू पे अटेंशन टू आपके थॉट्स क्या हैं, आपकी नेगेटिव पैटर्न्स क्या हैं, उन सब के बारे में आप सोचोगे, लिखोगे, that is when it will start helping you reflect and understand your own triggers, and that's when journaling and meditation helps. So this is a part of the homework that I give to a lot of my clients, which is where they do a lot of inner work, and जो वो processing होता है ना, after every emotion coming out, जो deep rooted है, उन सब के बाद जब आप journaling करते हो, then the layers open up. और उस emotion के नीचे और क्या emotion छुपा हुआ है, you don't know till the time you actually process it and put it on paper. So I think that's when journaling and meditation helps, not when you do it at a certain surface level.
Okay. Sleep और lifestyle habits आपके progress को या आपकी health को कितना impact करते हैं?
बहुत impact होती है, because sleep ना होना is coming from a fact that आप अपने present में नहीं जी रहे हैं. आप either अपने पास्ट में जी रहे हैं या अपने फ्यूचर में जी रहे हैं. आपकी बैड लाइफस्टाइल हैबिट्स जो होती हैं, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल ईटिंग ऑफ स्वीट्स व्हेन यू नो दैट डायबिटिक हो, या फिर आपको पता है कि ये आपके हेल्थ के लिए अच्छा नहीं है, बट यू स्टिल गो अहेड एंड डू दिस, राइट? यू डोंट गो फॉर एक्सरसाइजेस. ये आपकी सारी लाइफस्टाइल हैबिट्स है. नाउ व्हाई दिस हैपेंस इज बिकॉज आप जब sweets, yeah, you're addicted to a particular sweet, and or you're addicted to food as a whole, then what you're trying to do is you're actually trying to fill in a void that is created in your life
Which
for
is
whatever
emotional
reason,
eating, yeah.
which is emotional eating, right? I have a client who came to me because of his weight problem. He says, I want to lose weight, but I don't know how, because the moment I see, anything which is sweet,
Jump over it.
I jump on it. Now, the reason why he was addicted to sweets was not because of the taste, but the feeling that comes along with it. He said guilt is his feeling, right? And he's so addicted to that feeling of guilt that he cannot ever let it go. So that's how your lifestyle patterns impact your mental health. That's how it impacts your entire life, be it your relationships, your work, your health. Everything gets impacted because of these kind of things.
वाह। क्या बर्नआउट होने के टाइम पर जब आपको रियलाइजेशन हो रही है कि आपका बर्नआउट हो रहा है, किसी फ्रेंड या फैमिली मेंबर का हेल्प लेना ठीक है?
बिल्कुल ठीक है, अगर वो फैमिली मेंबर या फ्रेंड मैं हूँ तो। माई बेस्ट फ्रेंड, जब भी मैं उसके साथ अपने प्रॉब्लम शेयर करती हूँ तो वो हमेशा मेरी साइड लेती है, इन द सेंस दैट शी वुड टेल मी कि यार तू चैम्प है यार, तू कुछ भी कर सकती है. Does that really feel true in my body is the question. Now, she is my best friend, she's my well-wisher, but she is not going to help me find that belief in my body. Until the time I do that, I will not be able to overcome the problems that I have in my life, right? So that's why it is important to talk to an expert who is able to help you navigate through your emotions and reach the point where you understand why you are feeling the way you're feeling and then remove it from there.
वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस क्या एक मिथ है कि ये रियलिस्टिकली अचीव भी हो सकता है? एज अ सीईओ मैं हमेशा कभी इसका प्रो जवाब देता हूँ, कभी इसके कॉन्स में जवाब देता हूँ, कभी मैं मतलब it for me also the concept of a work life balance is questionable at given point in times. So how do you address it as an expert?
Actually, 2 साल पहले आप मुझसे ये पूछते तो मैं आपको यही बोलती कि यार वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस कुछ नहीं होता है, यही है वर्क एंड लाइफ बोथ. बट आई फील वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस इम्पॉर्टेंट है, एग्जिस्ट करती है, and everybody can achieve it till the time you realize that the pressure that you're carrying is not created in your own mind. Right? In the sense that ये जो आप अपने आप को बोल रहे हो कि वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस नहीं है, वो क्यों लगता है आपको? इज इट बिकॉज आपको काम करना है, बिकॉज आप इनसिक्योर फील करते हो, आप अपने आप को रेस्ट नहीं लेने देते, आप गिल्टी फील करते हो कि जब आप ऑफिस में नहीं रहते हो तो कोई काम नहीं होता. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस इज क्रिएटिंग अ प्रेशर इन योर हेड, और देयर इज एक्चुअली वर्क. ये मैं बिलीव ही नहीं कर सकती कि इतना ज़्यादा काम है कि आपको 8 घंटे के बाद you don't have a life of your own, right? So that's very unbelievable for me, and you're not even productive beyond a point. So exist करता है, but most of the times work life balance लोगों की लाइफ में मिस आउट इसलिए होता है बिकॉज वो क्रिएट अपने आप करते हैं,
वो एक इमोशनल अटैचमेंट क्रिएट कर देते हैं अपने काम से, जिसकी वजह से वो एक प्रेशर बिल्डअप होना शुरू होता है where they can't detach. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, also the fact that you feel guilty when you're not working, and that guilt comes from a conditioning again. आप पैदा नहीं हुए थे, आपको किसी MBA क्लास में सिखाया नहीं है कि आपको हमेशा काम में होना ही है. लोग डेलीगेट नहीं कर पाते बिकॉज ऑफ दिस गिल्ट, बिकॉज कि मैं डेलीगेट कर दूं तो मेरी वैल्यू कम हो जाएगी. दैट काइंड ऑफ इनसिक्योरिटी दैट पीपल फेस, राइट? तो इसीलिए वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस मिलता ही नहीं है, वरना कैसे नहीं मिलेगा? मिलेगा ही.
आपके हिसाब से एक बर्नआउट में और एक मेंटल ब्रेकडाउन में डिफरेंस क्या है?
मेल्टडाउन इज डिफाइंड इन अ वे कि आप ना गिव अप कर चुके हो. आपकी बॉडी, आपकी माइंड, आपका पूरा सिस्टम गिव अप कर चुका है. एंड इट्स सच अ ह्यूज ट्रिगर कि आपको हेल्प लेना ही लेना है, बिकॉज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज डिप्रेशन, राइट? Burnout is a process that leads you to to a mental breakdown. Burnout तब होता है जब आप थकते हो. You need rest. You need to pause. You need to reflect. You need to find out what is bothering you, what is triggering you, and how do you solve for it. Most of the times हम ये triggers miss out कर देते हैं. हम we don't pay attention to it, right? And इसीलिए वो dismiss हो जाता है. अरे stress ही तो हो रहा है. अरे 10 घंटे ही तो काम कर रहा हूँ तो क्या हो गया. This is what I need to do during this time of my life, at the peak of my career and all that, right? So that is a burnout that we need to pay attention to, so that we don't get into mental health issues or mental breakdown or depression of that sort. So yeah.
So hustle culture, knowingly, unknowingly, creates a hostile environment, because a lot of people cannot relate to the vision of who's hustling as a leader towards a particular goal that has been mutually agreed and set.
The why is missing.
Exactly, the why is missing.
Yeah.
How do we address that?
One, I feel a lot of times the why goes missing because the management or the top people are not able to trust his own people to understand the why like the way he sees it. ये बहुत बड़ी limitation होती है कि यार जो मेरे दिमाग में जो है ना वो मैं बाहर express नहीं कर पाता, right? But when you end up doing it, when you overcome your own limitations, when you're able to communicate the why to them, not just the why of the company, but why of the person as well, for them to be valued, to create the value for the organization, that's when the game changes. Right? Hustle तो करना ही है. Hustle नहीं करोगे तो आप grow कैसे करोगे, right? It does not have to be toxic all the time. The moment you know your why, the moment you are breaking free from all your limitation to stop thinking that this is toxic. When you look at the bigger picture and break free from the limitation that stops you from looking at the bigger picture, is when it stops becoming toxic and you really start enjoying the hustle culture.
क्या आपको लगता है कि हाइब्रिड वर्क कल्चर ने वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस को इम्प्रूव किया है?
Yes and no, both, because it depends on, one, the kind of work that you're doing, and second, your mental health and state, for you to understand that there are boundaries between your personal and professional life. When you are working from home, you are actually overlapping a lot of roles that you play in your personal and professional life. So how do you create those boundaries, and are you able and balance it, right? So that it's not blurry. So that's one. Second, जब आप घर से काम कर रहे हो, आपकी social interactions जो बहुत ही important है आपकी development के लिए, आपकी mental health के लिए, वो आपसे छूट जाता है. Restrict होना शुरू हो जाता है, and somehow people get very comfortable with that situation also. Because what happens is you are physically isolating yourself from the world and putting yourself entering into a shell. तो आप अगर घर से काम कर रहे हो तो प्लीज शाम को पार्टी करने चले जाओ. Because अगर आप नहीं करोगे तो वो shell bigger होता जाएगा और आप उसमें emotionally भी घुसते जा सकते हो. So that is very important. So I feel social interaction and boundaries जो आप create करते हो उसमें कितना balance ला सकते हो, depending on that, I feel you should, and that's the reason why I say yes and no to this question, because if you're able to bring that balance only, then it works for you.
Nice. क्या आपने किसी CXO लेवल या प्रेसिडेंट लेवल या बहुत सीनियर डायरेक्टर लेवल या चेयरमैन लेवल की किसी व्यक्ति को किसी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के हैंडल किया है और हैंडल करते हुए रियलाइज़ करा है कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के ग्रोथ का सबसे बड़ा ऑब्स्टिकल ही वो इंसान है, और अगर आपने किया है तो आपने उसको किस तरीके से मैनेज किया, किस तरीके से आइडेंटिफाई किया और किस तरीके से सॉल्व किया, अगर आप कर पाए तो?
बिल्कुल किया है. आई थिंक at a president level I have coached a few people. I would like to talk about one particular case because I feel वो बहुत common factor है without realizing it often by people, is that at a leadership level, if you don't have the power to delegate your stuff and you control everything, and that is what happened to this one particular client of mine, where hire तो उन्होंने बहुत amazing, smarter लोगों को हायर कर लिया, लेकिन उनसे कंट्रोल ही नहीं दिया जाता है किसी से, एंड दैट बिकेम सच अ ह्यूज बॉटलनेक फॉर एवरीवन, राइट, for the company's growth as well, because ऐसे नहीं चलता है when you're growing. So, and when we started working on him, we realized that, you know, the reason for him not to give control is because he felt unsafe about it. He, as much as he doubted himself on his capabilities, he also doubted the same reflection on his people, right? And that again came from a lot of conditioning that happened, a lot of trauma that happened in his life, where he was, the moment he lost control of things in his life as a child, he was unsafe. So we realized that while he was growing up in a very, very abusive and hostile environment, the way to fit in, or the way to survive that environment, was to fit in and blend in and agree with everything that the person in control was asking him to do in the family. So because of that, he built a habit, or got into this practice of having everything in his control. And he wasn't able to give that up, because if he does, he again goes into this mode of unsafety, right? Now, when we started working on it and he realized, पहली चीज तो होता है आप acknowledge करो उसको. आपने जैसे ही acknowledge किया, 60% of the problem really solves there.
Was he in denial, or?
Oh, he was not aware at all that this is where it came from, because it was so hurtful that he has forgotten about it. He did not even want to talk about this situation, right? But when we do the work, you cannot help but some of these traumas really come out, right? And that's what happened. And acknowledgement solved 60% of the problem. And then there was a lot of mindset work that happened on him for him to feel safe even when he lost control of things, and story changed after that. The kind of tools or work that we do to identify some of these limiting belief systems is to go inside. You know, we use tools like writing with your non-dominant hand. We work tools like, emotional freedom technique. There are a lot of neuro-linguistic programming techniques where you feel in your body, and this is a lot to do with energy work and mindset work, where you feel in your body where exactly is this emotion stored, right? It has a color, it has audio, it has a feel to it. And through NLP techniques, what we do is we use visual, auditory, and kinesthetic tools to remove it from your system, right? So for example, somebody comes saying that it's, I've got a huge, I have anxiety, or I feel fear in my body, right? Because of which I'm not able to swim, whatever is the case, right? So what we try and understand is, where in your body do you feel that? And then change that anxiety by changing the way it feels, the way it sounds to you, and the way you see it, maybe color, right? Or the shape and size of it. When it comes to kinesthetic, which is the way you feel it. And then using visualization tool, remove it from your body. And when you keep practicing that, what happens is, in your brain, you're creating a new neural connection for the trigger that has been triggering your fear or shame or anxiety or stress, anything negative that is stored in your body. So those are the kind of tools that we use.
So what is NLP?
So NLP is a programming of the mind. Whatever you have gathered information during your childhood, your growing up years, etc., imagine all of this is getting stored in a database, right? And this database says that I am great at XYZ. I am not good enough. So there are positive things that are stored in your database. There are negative things and limiting self-belief systems that are stored in your database. So for example, the way you learn how to cycle, right? So when you're learning it, you're actually you're training your body to learn a technique, and you never forget about it. Similarly, the programming in your minds are stored in your database, and you never forget about it, right? That's the base of the functions that's the base of how you operate and function in life. NLP के थ्रू हम उस प्रोग्रामिंग को चेंज कर सकते हैं. इन अ वे आप ये बोल सकते हो कि आप अपने सॉफ्टवेयर को अपग्रेड कर रहे हो. सो NLP जो लैंग्वेज आपकी माइंड को समझ आती है, उस लैंग्वेज से आप न्यूरो पाथवेज क्रिएट कर सकते हो, बेसिकली विच इज़ अ ट्रिगर कि मुझे इस चीज़ से ट्रिगर होता है एंड इस चीज़ से मुझे एंगर फील होता है या फिर मुझे शेम फील होता है. सो दैट हैज़ अ कनेक्शन, राइट. हम उस कनेक्शन को रिप्लेस करते हैं विद अ पॉजिटिव माइंडसेट, राइट. एंड दैट एंड ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम व्हेन यू प्रैक्टिस इट, तो वो पुराना जो कनेक्शन है वो बिल्कुल ख़त्म हो जाता है और ये न्यू कनेक्शन बिल्ड होता है. So that's NLP.
And is this more relevant in the corporate culture while doing exercises of identifying what triggers what, or is it a general process when you're initially identifying conditions or symptoms that trigger somebody to do something?
This is a solution.
Oh, okay.
Once you identify. Corporate में ये बहुत ज़्यादा use होता है. I'll give you an example. I was dealing with this young guy the other day who has a fear of stage, right? Now, one, we identified where is this fear coming from, which is where trauma regression comes in, etc. And then to change that mindset, we used NLP techniques.
Got it.
So, yeah, the techniques sort of create a new pathway for him to feel like the people who are sitting in front of him, looking at him, is not actually judging him but clapping him. So there's a new trigger and a new action created in his mind. And more you practice it, it works fantastically well.
What is the meaning of Mira? How did the name get developed into a brand that you're building?
Well, Mirac means finding joy in small things in life. It made sense to me because it is the really smaller things in life that makes you happy and not the things that we keep chasing all the time. And when I say smaller things, I mean to say that when you're born, when you're a 1-day-old child, when you're a 10-day-old child, you're basically ugly and naked. Right? But all you're doing is attracting so many people towards you.
Yeah.
That's your magnetic self. That's your most authentic, powerful self.
Yeah.
So Mirac is all about going back to that, right? Instead of, and breaking free from all the molds that you have created around yourself, around your identity, around who you are as a person, what is your personality. Because क्या होता है, ये conditioning की वजह से हम जैसे बन जाते हैं ना, वो हमें लगता है कि यही हमारी पर्सनालिटी है.
Yeah.
हमें पता ही नहीं होता कि ये पर्सनालिटी नहीं है, ये कंडीशनिंग है.
Yeah.
So Mirac is all about going back to the most authentic version of you, which is who you actually love the most, right? So falling in love with yourself means that you go back to the authentic self. And that's where all the healing and all the self-work starts and ends with.
Yeah.
So that's what
I
Mirac is.
was reading this, and then probably I also watched this in a form of a reel where I saw somebody explaining that for a 4th year match in the World Cup or in an Olympic, you're preparing for good 4 years or good 3 years for you to participate in that one match that you want to win.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there are situations where the match doesn't happen, or you get injured, or there are economic shifts, there are circumstantial shifts for which you're prepared for 4 years, but that doesn't happen because you're constantly living in that future, that eureka moment that you'll achieve after 4 years, for which you've prepared every single day.
Yeah.
But in this entire process, you've not lived a single day because you've lived for that year, that day, which is going to be after 3 years, where you've stopped enjoying the little joys of life on a daily basis, and you've forgotten that you have to live in those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the perspective is that if you've stopped living in those moments, you've actually not accumulated right memories for you to enjoy that win in the 4th year, that particular match, which may or may not happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can relate so well with the brand name and how your entire journey has shaped up to this one word that is probably as wonderful as life.
Yeah.
So the adjoining question is the vision, you know. I have a traditional approach of looking at building brands with objectives, mission statements, and vision statements. So there's just one question: what is the vision of Mirac? How do you foresee yourself in 3 years from now, 5 years from now as a brand?
Um, in 5 years from now, I want to touch 10,000 lives who is free from all traumas, free from the fact, free from the belief system that whoever they are today is a byproduct of all the conditioning and not who they are, and really have these 10,000 people find their own power.
Wow.
Right? And 10,000 is the number that I have given to myself for the next 5 years.
Do you think outside having psychological understanding of these problems and finding remedies, there are any planetary changes or any spiritual reasons because of which there are changes in mental health? And does Mirac address to that, or even acknowledges the fact that there are challenges that are in nature which are not just psychological, but they're also related to stars that are changing?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel there's a lot of spiritual reasons because of which mental health issues can come up in life, or stress can come up in life, anxiety, addiction can come up in life. A lot has to do with, when we work on trauma, we work from the time that you were in your mother's womb till about 17, 18 years of age, when you have the formative years of experiences that you have in your life, right? Beyond that is also a lot of things that happens. And I'm talking about patterns which has been passed on energetically by your ancestors, patterns and vows and karmic contracts that comes from your past lives, also have a lot of impact in your life. I'll give you an example. A lot of us want to earn money. पैसा चाहिए, right? But पैसा तब तक नहीं आएगा जब तक आप ये सोचो कि आप ready हो पैसों के लिए. पैसा is an energy.
Yeah.
Right? Abundance is an energy that flows to you, right? But आप अगर past life की vow की वजह से आपने ये सोचा कि I will deprive myself of money because I did that to somebody else, and that was the last thought when you died in one of your past lives.
Yeah.
If an ancestor in your family system has lost everything that they had because of betrayal, you will think that money is evil. मनी आपके पास जब आपकी जरूरत होगी ना, तब आपके पास रहेगी नहीं, तो क्या फायदा पैसा बना के? So no matter how much you want to earn money, you are limited by the ancestral thought patterns and the vows that comes from your past life.
Wow.
So spiritually, it has a lot to do with it. A lot of people think that money is evil. Only the rich people are selfish. So these are negative belief system that has been passed on spiritually and energetically from ancestors and past lives.
Wow, interesting. So does Mirac also conduct any past life regression therapies or identification of how the past was and what the future should be?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of clients who actually come to me to say कि मेरी life में ये problem है, how do I solve it? And maybe we have done a lot of work in the lifetime or their current lifetime to see if there is any problem coming from there, if there are conditioning there. But a lot of times we have to go to family generational trauma, and we have to go to past life regression, which is where we do Akashic record readings for our clients, where we see past lives, we understand the vows, and we actually work on the karmic contracts that they have with whatever problem that they are facing. So yeah, we do that.
अगर कोई लिसनर है जो इस पर्टिकुलर पॉडकास्ट को देख रहा है और हमारी कॉन्वर्जेशन को मार्क कर रहा है, उसकी लाइफ में कोई प्रॉब्लम्स हैं जिसकी वजह से वो स्टक फील कर रहा है अपनी सिचुएशन में, क्या ऐसी स्मॉल रेमेडीज़ हैं जो आप रेकमेंड कर सकते हैं जिससे वो एक शिफ्ट महसूस करे उसके माइंडसेट में?
Very simple technique or tool that you can start doing it as a ritual in the morning is to identify the thoughts that you have had yesterday in your mind. the negative thoughts, the negative narratives, the stories that you keep telling yourself. उसके बाद उस पे attention दो, उसको लिखो. And then next day, when in the morning, when you actually look at all of these negative thoughts, you will know as an adult, as a rational mind, that those are not true. और उस टाइम पे अगर लगे भी ना कि ये this is not true, then put in positive, deliberate thoughts to replace that negative thought. It's a very powerful technique, very simple but very powerful technique. Over a period of time, you see a shift in the way you think. And the moment you start changing the way you think, you start changing your actions, and that's how you transform. So if you're not yet ready to go to a therapist yet, but you should, but I feel this is something that you can start right now.
So when do you think someone requires counseling? How do you identify that I require counseling?
The answer to this question is right now. It was yesterday actually, because जो भी आपकी लाइफ में आपको लिमिट करता है, वो आपके लिए एक ट्रिगर है. अब जब तक उस ट्रिगर को सुनोगे नहीं, तब तक आप एक डीपर लेवल की प्रॉब्लम नहीं सॉल्व कर पाओगे. So you can't do it on your own. You need to go to an expert who can help you navigate through this, right? So जितने भी triggers है, जितने भी trivial triggers है कि मैं अकेले नहीं बैठ सकता, मैं बोर हो जाता हूँ अकेले, I can't spend time with myself. This is also a trigger. I don't think this job is for me, or this particular role is for me. ये आपके लिए trigger है. क्यों नहीं है वो role आपके लिए? What is the deep feeling that you have around it? Is it because you think you're not good enough for this, right? Which will only come up when you navigate through your deepest fears, deepest shame and guilt that you have been living with for so long, right? So the time is now. It's not tomorrow. Tomorrow will be too late. So yeah, everybody should go for therapies.
Nice. Okay, Gargi, before we wrap up, are you ready for our traditional rapid fire round?
Let's see. I hope so.
Okay. A leadership buzzword that you don't like?
Out of the box.
Success के बारे में एक ऐसा myth जो लोग blindly follow करते हैं पर आपको लगता है बिल्कुल गलत है?
कि आपके पास ज़्यादा पैसा होगा तो आप successful होंगे.
Nice. अपने करियर का एक ऐसा मिस्टेक जो आपको सबसे बड़ा लेसन दे गया और जो आप दोबारा कभी रिपीट नहीं करेंगे?
अपने गुस्से पे काबू रखना. Be strategic, be diplomatic at times, but yeah, just deal with your own things before you
talk to anyone else.
React. Yeah. I think I've learned over the time how to respond and not react. So I think it would have saved a lot of time and effort for me.
Work-life balance के बारे में आपका एक unpopular opinion जो शायद सब agree ना करें.
Work-life balance exist करता है अगर आप चाहो तो. I know आप भी नहीं agree करते हो. A lot of CXOs don't agree with me, but ये exist करता है, ये important है, and आप चाहो तो इसको अपनी life में entry दे सकते हो.
ज़्यादा stressful क्या है, corporate deadlines या entrepreneurship के sleepless nights?
Stressful है corporate deadlines, but sleepless nights for entrepreneurship is also something that exists, and that's the fun sleepless nights.
ज़्यादा stressful क्या है?
Deadlines.
मेरा आपको अगर expand करना हो तो आप किस domain में, किस नए domain में आप expand करना पसंद करेंगे?
I want to bring a lot of things under one roof, which is to say that I want to bring all of these healers, holistic healers, therapists, pranic healers, all of that under one roof. Because I feel that there are just so many talented people out there who can really help, but unko clients nahi milte. They don't have a platform where they can sell themselves, right? And they obviously come with their own set of limitations, but I feel I have a responsibility once I'm done with a little part of this that I give them work as well. In order to survive. So I think.
And if anybody wants to reach out to Mirak, what is the way to reach out to you?
Well, I have a website. You can put in a query there, or I'm on Instagram, so you can put in a query there. So yeah, you can book an appointment with me. Everything is on the bio link on Insta, and yeah, that's how you reach out.
Thanks for joining me on this podcast today and giving me so many insights about how work-life balance happens and how Mirak was born. And this has been exciting meeting you after 15 years for our viewers to know, and learning so much from you another time.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting. I hope this work that we have done today reaches out to people,
Yeah.
and people know that they can get help and break free from the limitations that they have. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.